Welcome to a new episode of JAX TV. I'm here at the JAX 2017 in Mainz, Germany. And with me is Kevin Goldsmith, who just recently delivered a keynote.
Yes.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I wanted to chat with you a little bit about an article of Simon Wardley, who wrote this article about the pioneers, the settlers, and the town builders.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, it seems that you are mainly a pioneer or a settler, but not a town builder.
Well, you know, I actually started my career a very long time ago, working at companies like IBM and Microsoft and Silicon Graphics, very much companies that were town builders.
Okay.
And it was only through my frustrations in that environment that I learned I was more of a pioneer and a settler. So since then, I've really focused on companies that I can work in the way I would like to, right? Mm-hmm. And I just have a natural affinity for constantly trying to evolve and improve and do things differently. So I've been able to find companies where I can do that, which has been great.
So is your lesson learned then that in a town builder environment, if we call it like that, there's no space for a pioneer? Is this a natural law, or is this just your personal lesson learned? Or
it's a personal lesson learned. I think a pioneer in a town building company is a change agent.
Yeah.
And there was in order to be an effective change agent, you have to be willing to have a lot of frustration. And I think I tried to do that for a number of years and just got tired of it. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, instead of trying to change the company I'm in to be more like what I would like, I'll just go to a company that works the way I'd like. Yeah. And then that's much easier. So I'm more lazy than anything else.
A lazy change agent.
I'm a lazy change agent.
But yeah, you've been working as a VP of engineering at Spotify for several years. Now you're working also, let's say, kind of a startup situation, company called Avo.
That's right.
So what exactly have you been doing, or what exactly have you been changing at Spotify, for example? So
Spotify's biggest challenge, part of the reason I went to Spotify was because I thought that they'd really thought about their culture and their processes, and were doing something truly innovative there. And so that's what attracted me to that. I had been working at Adobe as a change agent and trying to evolve our processes in a very similar way to what Spotify had already accomplished. Mm-hmm. So I decided I wanted to see what that was like when all the change was done. But of course, Spotify's problem was growth and how to maintain culture as the company grew. And so that was my biggest challenges at Spotify, was taking a very good, very dynamic, very pioneering culture and then maintaining it through years of extended, very fast growth.
Becoming a settler?
No.
Not?
Well, the great thing about them and the great thing about being there is you learn to be a perpetual pioneer.
Okay.
So we had no dedication, no devotion to any of our processes. We were always willing to let them go if they no longer served the purposes, which meant that we questioned everything all the time. Mm-hmm. It didn't mean we changed everything all the time, but we were willing to. And I think that's essential to being a pioneer.
I see.
Is to not say, well, this is the way we do things now. That's when you become a settler. And then when you say, this is the way we've always done it, that's when you're a town builder.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So a lot of the work I've done coming to Avo, it had the right culture and the right values, but it hadn't figured out how to do that in processes yet. Mm-hmm. And so that's been a lot of the excitement about going to a company, which it is a startup. It's 10 years old though.
Yeah.
So it's got a history.
Yeah.
It's the same age as Spotify, but it grew in a very different way, and so the challenges are different. So it's been really exciting. So
for companies like Avo or Spotify, as mentioned, do you think it should be their main purpose not to become settlers and town builders and remain this kind of perpetual pioneer, or is there anything, let's say, an interesting aspect for that type of organizations to become, well, at least a settler?
Yeah. I think I think you can reach a point where, in a size where you want to be more of the settler mentality, because the bigger you grow, the harder it is to be changing.
Yeah.
The change is much more widespread and it's much harder to maintain. But if the industry we're in is in constant change. Nothing has stayed the same. I've been in the software industry for over 25 years. It is different every year than it was the year before.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is if you get too complacent, if you get too settled, you become very much a ripe target for somebody who's willing to do things in a new way to come and displace you. So I think you don't have to be perpetually pioneering, but you do have to be willing to change and constantly looking at how you can work better. Yeah, you should never be complacent.
If we speak about that the notion of being able to change, of adaptability, I hear very often from let's say larger traditional companies, let's call it like that, saying, well, for Spotify and Airbnb and Netflix, those folks, it's easy because all of them just have one product,
Right.
And if you look to a bank or whatever, they have, let's say, hundreds or thousands of products,
Yes.
So is for that kind of type of companies, is that, let's say, change or transformation towards adaptability, openness towards change, is this possible?
It's absolutely possible. I mean, so one of the freedoms of having many products is you have many ways to try things. Every product, you could be trying a different way to build that product. You can be learning on a broader scale. You can be learning in parallel. You can be trying lots of things. There isn't as much pressure around transforming a single product company as there is around a multiple product company. But that said, I think there's been great examples of companies like ING, like Citibank, like Philips, where they've actually taken these very traditional businesses and transformed them. So I don't think that it is one or the other. I think you can definitely transform a more traditional, more established business, a multi-product business, but they have that benefit of being able to try lots of things that a single product business cannot.
Talking about that kind of businesses, let's say traditionally, most of the people or people who have kind of responsibility used to have been incentivized for avoiding risk.
Right.
Now you're speaking about, let's call it a culture of experimentation. How do these things fit together?
I think to the point of the industry is constantly changing, and it's changing at an ever increasing rate. Avoiding failure is no longer an option. You have to fail if you want to innovate. And as an industry, we are constantly wanting to innovate. That is what we do. So if you reward avoiding failure, you are punishing failure, and you are disincentivizing innovation. And you cannot survive as a business in our modern world for very long if you are unwilling to innovate. So we instead have to incentivize how to fail well, making your mistakes small so that they don't hurt the company. Small mistakes are learning opportunities. Big mistakes can take the company under. So learning how to fail well and rewarding that and the eventual success that comes from that learning has got to be the way your company works if you want to actually innovate.
Okay. Well, until now we talked mainly about business. What impact does this notion of allowing failure and things like that have on the tech side? What do you think, or is there something, let's say, developers, software architects have to learn?
I think one of the things that's been great about the emergence of public cloud, whether you use it or not, it's taught our industry how to design systems that expect failure.
Yeah.
Right? When you run in a public cloud environment, they're going to reclaim your instance and launch it on some other machine all the time. You can never depend on anything.
Yeah.
And that's not how we used to build software. We used to build software assuming success. Like, oh, I'm going to get this resource. It'll always be there.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, I'll fail, but that never happens, so it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Now we normally expect, oh, I'm going to try and get this resource. It's probably not there.
Yeah.
And I have to build my software in a very different way. So I think on the software side, we've already learned this lesson around failure, and things like microservices, where when a failure happens, it fails in a very small way. It can fail without taking out your entire product. We've been learning on the software side for several years now how to exist in this world and succeed. So it's taking those learnings and continuing to apply them around architecture and organizations that support these architectures as well.
What, from your perspective and looking to those organizations where you have been active in the past, what impact can software developers have, or is it more about defining the frame from the top and then saying, okay, let's do it like that? Well, you know what I mean? Where's the starting point?
I think it's very hard, depending on the culture of your company.
Yeah.
Top-down change is very difficult. I would have said it was impossible before I saw it happen at Microsoft.
Yeah.
The way I've normally argued for it is the developers that are the ones that can affect the change.
Yeah.
By doing experiments, saying we're going to do this release in a different way than we've done traditionally.
Yeah.
And it's small, so maybe we can experiment and be allowed to do that. Oh, we've proven that if we do Agile, that we can be more effective. We've proven that if we build this with microservices, we can be more effective. And then as you have those successes at the team level, and teams start teaching other teams, oh, we found that if we do this better, if we do it in this way, we work better. That change then happens from the bottom of the organization up to where it becomes inevitable. If all your teams, if you're a company that's never done Agile, and then one team does Agile, another team does Agile, and then pretty soon everyone's doing Agile, the senior leadership can't say, well, we don't want to do Agile. It just is the way the company works at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Kevin, for joining us, for the keynote, and for this very nice conversation. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.